So, Kiara Dario, welcome to
Hi.
Let's Talk. Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'm sure people who will watch this or people who will click the link know you, have watched you, have heard about you, have seen you on on one of many platforms. And I wanted to get into a conversation with you. So just a quick intro, right? So Kiara, thank you for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you,
this
Tito.
episode, this show. And yes, people, she will call me Tito, not because it's creepy, but I'm really her Tito. I mean, I saw Kiara grow up. She's a really good close friend of my daughter, and they grew up together in school. And so,
Yes.
I've seen her grow up to the lady that she is today. So just Kiara, let me take the liberty of rattling off what I know and then tell me if I
Sure.
miss anything. No? So um again, Kiara, Dario, welcome to the show. So I know that you've been in theater your entire life. You've been
Yes.
performing in front of people, in front of audiences, your entire life practically. And then I also know that in school, and I don't know even after school if you continued your competitive dancing. And we can talk about that later again as we continue this talk. And then most notably on more recently, you're of course part of the Huling El Bimbo cast, the epic Huling El Bimbo cast. I
Epic.
watched it, the epic El Bimbo. I watched it twice with your Tita and Kish, and we with like so many people, we just fell in love with the whole concept of it, and of course the songs, kasi that's
Yeah.
right up our generation,
Yes.
diba? So you were part of that, and let's get into a short conversation about that later. And then I also know that I don't know if you could still continue to do it, but you actually play Disney princesses at
Yeah.
parties.
Yeah. Well, not recently because of the pandemic, but we do it
Okay.
now. We do it like online.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We
Wow,
have like
interesting.
online birthday parties for kids.
Oh, cool. Oh, sige, mamaya I'll ask you details about that. And and I know that right before this talk of ours, were you hosting a live stream on Kumu?
Yes, I was hosting a live stream on Kumu.
So I know that you're on Kumu a lot. So I see the promos. Of course I follow you there, and I know you do a lot of stuff there. And I know a lot of people also know you as Tita Sandra on TikTok.
Oh my god.
So that's such a I'm so interested to talk to you about that. But yeah, so Kiara's on TikTok, like of course she's there, and then such an interesting character, a character that I don't identify with, but I know a lot of people
Yeah.
who I can identify as Tita Sandra. So let's talk about that later. And of course, your most recent conquest, if I can call it that. So you just launched your part of this. Is it right to call it a P-pop group? I mean,
Yes.
correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's a P-pop or a Pinoy pop group called
Yes.
Daydream. So
Yes.
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And naubusan na ako ng hininga kasi ang dami. I don't know if I missed anything, but okay, let me start off. No, I mean, let's get into. Siguro we can talk about these things individually later on. But I mean, why do you do this to yourself? I mean, where do you get your energy to do all of these things? I mean, from when you were a kid up until
Yeah.
now, diba? Where does it come from?
I have no idea. I don't know. Every time I see something, like every time I see someone do something, I always say, I think I can do that also. I don't know why, but like I've always been super into performing. I think that's why. Like doing I love singing, I love dancing, I love being in front of people and and like kahit talking. I
Mhm.
enjoy it talaga.
So, were you the kid who, like during family reunions or Sunday lunch, parang, Kiara, can you
Yeah,
sing?
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
so
And
you were that kid.
Yeah, and it was so funny because before, like when I was a kid, my parents would ask me to sing, and sometimes I would be pakipot pa. I would be like, no, no, and then after a few minutes, I whisper, "Mom, ask me again, and I'll say yes."
Okay. So as in as far as you can remember, at what age? I mean, I don't know if you remember. What age did you actually start thinking or realizing that this is something that it's not just something I like, but it's something that I'm actually good at, diba?
Yeah, I actually don't remember when I realized that I was like good at it, like it was a
Mm-hmm.
talent. Like I feel like I just like doing it, and then because my parents enrolled me in Repertory Philippines summer workshops, and then I started getting like, oh, lead role, oh, like certain roles, and I never really thought of myself as good. I just liked doing it.
Oh, no, I'm sure you knew you were
Yeah.
good.
No,
No,
I
but
didn't even think about it that way. I just like
okay.
to do it.
Yeah, which is important, diba? I mean, it's if it's something that you enjoy, especially if you're in your younger years, and your parents put you through these workshops, and if you go into rap or trumpets or whatever, diba?
Yeah.
It shows kasi I mean, in my youth, I also did similar
Yes.
activities. Nax, I never broke through, so But anyway, my point being, you actually know it when you're watching kids or when you're watching young people in these workshops.
Yeah.
You actually know who's enjoying it and who was
Yeah.
forced into it by their
Yeah, by
parents,
their
diba?
parents.
Yeah. Okay. So so at what age did you start rep? Do you remember your first like
Um,
repertory experience?
I started rep when I was 5 years old because my sister at that time, actually, like right when I was born, my sister was already doing professional productions with repertory. So being the younger sister, I really wanted to do what she was doing. And it's
Okay.
funny because I ended up becoming the one who pursued it as a career. But from when I was 5 years old till I was about 15, I was doing workshops every year.
Okay. Okay. And your sister was in repertory as
Yeah.
in
Yeah, she was doing
okay.
professional productions. She did Annie and Oliver. And I just wanted to follow her. And then I ended up doing it
Nice,
forever.
nice, nice. So it runs in the family. I mean, were
Yeah.
your parents also in theater
Um,
or
it's funny because my parents were just like fans of theater. Yeah,
okay,
my lola's a professional dancer. My dad's mom, she was a
okay,
professional dancer. So
nice,
that's where it
okay.
comes from.
Okay, that's cool. So, okay, so you're in repertory, you're doing workshops, and then what was your first like play or production?
The first thing I did was like a parang musical review, just a bunch of songs
Mm.
that they made us sing. And I remember I sang pa the Phantom of the Opera, and I had this super long cape that was twice as big as I was because I was only 5 years.
Okay, well, how did that turn out?
That was super, like I loved it. I think that was the first time where I felt like I wanted to keep going back, and every time it ended I would get sad. And it's funny because my first teacher in that workshop eventually became my castmate in several shows in
Oh,
the future.
nice, nice. Okay, that's a nice little story there. So, okay, so in theater, I mean, you enjoyed it, and it was obvious because you wanted to keep going back, diba? And then, okay, let me jump into your dance life,
Yeah.
because I also had a chance to see you in the past. So how did that start? I mean, okay, so you're a theater kid, and then
Yeah.
how did you discover that? Teka lang, I can also dance, and then maybe this is something I can pursue.
When I was young, around like I think around 6 years old, my mom enrolled me in ballet also, like baby
Mm.
ballet. And I didn't like it because it was like, I don't know, I was a wild kid. I found it too like restrictive. So
Yeah.
when I was in grade 5, I ended up joining Meta Dance Theater in our
Hmm.
school. And that's where I learned the first style that I learned was modern dance, and
Mm-hmm.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And but the style that I really fell in love with was hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So I started when I was in grade school, and then um, I ended up wow representing representing the country in 2015.
Yeah, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. How was that? I mean, where did you guys compete in what
Uh,
country?
San Diego in the U.S.
Nice, nice.
So the competition is called the World Hip Hop Dance
Mm-hmm.
Championships, hosted by Hip Hop International. It's usually in the states, and we that was super fun. That was like my one of I think it's the highlight of my dance career, like representing the country with my team called LMN,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up placing 11th in the world. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I mean in the world, no.
yeah,
So big thing pa rin. But
yeah.
wait, Element, if I remember right, it wasn't like within the school, right? I mean, it was an independent like team.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was composed of people from several different schools.
okay. So, so you're in theater, you're in the performing arts, and then you're also dancing hip hop.
Yeah,
Okay, so and I'm gonna jump like to the present, and then let's just jump back and forth in this timeline of yours. So,
sure.
okay, so P-pop, okay, P-pop. And I've heard the song, I've seen the MV. I'm a fan.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was one of your first followers, and I mean, congratulations, right? I mean,
Thank you.
I know it's not an easy genre to get
Yeah,
into, especially in the Philippines, right? I mean, and you know, and I'm sure you're aware that your Tita and Kish is my daughter.
yes,
Whoever's listening, they're like army, diba?
yeah.
And
Fish tells me
um,
you're a blink.
yeah, I'm a blink. I'm a blink. Um, So how did this happen, Kiara? I mean, I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, I asked that question with nothing but curiosity because I'm not surprised given your background, right? We haven't even talked about all the other things that you've done, but how did this come about?
So the our manager, our group is called Daydream, and our manager, his name's Nino Alejandro. He is a singer songwriter, and he is also the head of this label called Rebel Records under Warner Music. And I like was acquainted with him because he's also a theater actor.
Hmm.
So like I knew of him, and he started the group because his daughter and his wife are big fans of BTS. And his daughter would always show him videos of BTS and Blackpink. She's also a Blink. And he was like, "Hey, why don't I do something like this?" Because he is a record label executive and a producer. So he's like, "We can do this." And he started like scouting people on online and also on um, Kumu, and he asked one of our mutual friends like who he recommends for the group, and my mutual friend suggested me, and he messaged me on Instagram one day. He was like, "Hey, I run this record label. Would you wanna audition for my label?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And like out of the blue, and then he said, "Okay, just send me an audition tape, like sing." And then I was like, "Okay." So I sent him a tape, and then he called me, and he was like, "The job is yours if you want it." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then he said that
Whoa.
he's forming a girl group, ganyan ganyan. And then I was like super funny because the year before, not even a year before, a few months before, I was talking to one of my best friends from theater, and I was saying, "Hey, we should start a girl group because we both love singing and dancing, and we both are K-pop fans also. Like, let's make a girl group." And we said that as a joke, and then a few months later, we're both in the girl group because I
Okay,
joined
so
it with
your friend is also
another
in
friend.
the group.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we were looking for a fourth member, and I was like, "Oh, Sir Nino, I have this friend who's perfect for it," and I suggested her, and buti na lang, she also came on board. So that's super funny. Like I really manifested it. Like I posted pa about it on Facebook. Like let's start a girl group,
Yeah.
and then it happened. Talaga.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you put out into the universe, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
just happens. So I mean, when I found out, I was saying, okay, let because I was, I try to be very objective with whatever I see, right? And um, to me, the biggest challenge is, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're there and I'm just an observer from the outside. I think the biggest challenge for a group, especially in the Philippines, is okay. I know that this is K-pop inspired. How
Yeah,
much of the Pinoy identity do I want to bring into it, or do I just want to completely rip off,
yeah.
the Koreans? I mean, how did that process go? Did you decide on the balance? I mean, was that a group think or a group decision, or was it management? And
Yeah.
I'm really curious how that goes.
The great thing kasi about our group is that we're under an indie label. So a lot of the like creative decisions also come from the members themselves. That's really what I'm happy about, that we as members are able to give our own input into the group. And I feel like it because the song, it's actually based on like our first song, I think. Like all of our decisions also. Like how the first song came about was that it was a song written in the hook was written 20 years ago. Yeah.
No way, talaga?
Yeah. The hook was written
Okay.
20 years ago by our songwriter Tanya Amen. And she's a Filipino American who lives in the States. And it's kind of like a collaboration between we have two songwriters from the US, and then Sir Nino, who's also a songwriter. And then we have a producer from Korea who also mixed and mastered the song.
Okay.
So I think that's a great representation of also how our group gets inspiration as well. Because I feel like what a lot of fans are noticing also that is that we're not really as Korean inspired as other P-pop groups. Like a lot of our influences come from the US, the UK, like girl groups like that as well, yung mga R&B type girl groups also. So, and of course, there's also Filipino inspired elements because our songwriters are Filipino as well. So,
Okay. So maybe that's okay. So now I'm kind of putting things together. Because what I noticed, especially from your MV, right? I was telling, Kish and while I was watching it, it feels, how do I say it? It it's not like a fresh. You know what I
yeah,
mean? In fact, I felt it was a little bit raw, in the sense na it wasn't like bright and polished and
yeah,
all like
yeah,
candy pop and stuff like that.
yeah.
So is that like the image that the group is pursuing, or this was a one-off and you're going to, you know, shift whatever and in whatever musical direction the songs go into?
Well, it's funny because like people ask us about like what was your inspiration for the music video concept, ganyan, ganyan. And I'm like, it's like since we're an indie label, it's literally whatever we can use. so, so like the venue for the music video was my Tito's bar that we just
Okay.
use, and like the director is also a friend of one of our members. So like all of these things are like whatever we can use that'll look great. But I think that's also a good thing because like you said, it feels like it doesn't feel like bubblegum, like it doesn't feel like very um polished in a sense. But I kind of like that because that also sets us apart from the other P-pop groups that are around right now. All of them, well, most of them are from big entertainment companies like
Mm.
ABS-CBN and Viva, and we're here as a small indie label, just trying to like make good music and be like be able to produce art and songs and music videos that we genuinely like.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, and I think this is something that I can also say about that. And maybe because I have a different opinion because I know you, right? But I felt that the video was actually more mature than
Yeah,
some other
yeah,
P-pop. diba, groups, and I felt that yeah, I mean it's appropriate, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go like all bubblegum all,
Yeah.
and all and all wholesome and all of that, and in that sense, parang people who know you might not kind of marry those two
Yeah,
concepts.
exactly. Because the girl groups that are around right now are mostly young. They're mostly in their
Mm,
teens, and we are in our 20s. So
mm,
I think we wanted also to show a, a level of maturity that was bagay to who we really are as artists and as individuals.
okay. So before we jump topic, so where is this going to go? I mean, are you guys completely committed to like seeing this all the way to not just one or two songs, but really a legit like P-pop P-pop thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely are super committed to that because like whenever we talk about, like we always talk about, oh, world tour in the future, ganon. Like we're really like, oh, Southeast Asian tour, like let's go to like Japan, let's go to Korea, let's like make this international, let's super see it through and do it
Mhm.
for as long as we possibly can. Like we
Yeah,
really want this
yeah.
to be a big thing.
Okay, that's good. I mean, commitment is everything, right? And again, just put it out into the universe, and things are just gonna
Yeah.
fall into place. So, congratulations on that. Let's
Thank
circle
you.
back to that later on. So, okay, let me jump. And I'm not following like a timeline here. I'm gonna jump from one
Yeah.
one to the next. So you've been in theater your entire life. Started at 5, and then got into dance, got into competitive dancing. You
Yeah.
represented the country in the United States, and then you just launched your own P-pop group with three other members. Let's talk about one of the more, I would say, talked about as well, things that you've been involved with, which was Huling El Bimbo. Um, how kasi 'di ba yung Eraserheads? I don't know if you've been an Eraserheads fan
Yes,
since, 'di
I
ba?
am.
Oh, okay, so that's good. I mean, that answers my question. Kasi nga, I noticed kasi like for the cast, right? There are a lot of young, I mean, it was a young cast.
Yeah.
It was a young cast, especially the ensemble. I mean, you guys were pretty young. And I don't know how many of you were actually E-Heads fans. I mean, it's E-Head songs. Maybe I'm not even talking about the group, but E-Head songs. How did you get into it? Number one, right? I mean, the call for auditions, how did that go, etc. But I guess the more important question is because when we were watching it, and I was, and we watched it twice, and moved extremely both times because parang all of you just felt all the songs. I mean, you
Yeah.
knew what they meant, and you knew how they connected with the audience. How was that experience? I mean, talk us through briefly about how that experience started and how it evolved.
Yeah. So one of my closest friends, the same guy who referred me to our manager for the
Okay.
P-pop group, he's the one who said, "Hey, there's this musical. You should audition for it," because he's also from theater. Wow, he's bringing me to these
Yeah nga eh.
amazing opportunities. He messaged me because he was already casted. He played young Hector. His name's Rev Atanero.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
He messaged me and he was like, "Hey, I'm casted in this new musical featuring Eraserhead songs. I think you should audition." And I was like, "Wait, what? Featuring Eraserhead songs?" Because like I was such a big fan even at that time. Because my dad, he was in the music industry from the '90s because he was the manager of True Faith in the
Mm-hmm.
'90s.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in that scene, and like I've been like raised in that that
Yeah.
kind of like Eraserheads, all of those songs. And then so I went to the audition, and it was a hard process because ang daming auditionees because everyone wanted to audition. As in, I think it's funny because even people my age were like scrambling to audition because they're such an iconic band. Like they've transcended generations. And there were so many people at auditions. I even met like friends at the auditions, things like that. And then I got casted. Um, in a, a lot, most of us, I think like around 90% of us in the cast were really big Eraserheads fans. There were some who weren't, and it was for me it was interesting to see people who aren't fans discover the songs for the first time in that way because one of our cast members, Tita Sheila Francisco, she's the one who played Chadeli. She when she was being taught one of her songs called Balikbayan Box, she that was the first time she ever experienced that song, ever heard that song. And it's not a very famous song of the Razorheads. And she cried. She she cried because she was like, I can't believe I've never heard this song before. Like
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Like that it was really cool witnessing someone experience the genius of the
Yes.
Eraserheads in real time.
Correct. That's a
Yeah,
good point in real time, diba?
yeah. And I don't know, like I feel like it was also because our um our artistic team were it was the best possible artistic team you could ever get. Our director, Sir Dexter Santos, who is from UP and is a huge fan of the Eraserhead, and it's been his dream to produce a musical of the Eraserheads like for years. It just never happened. He was our director, and our musical director, Mike Salamon. He's a genius. He is the one who rearranged and rethought
Yeah, I
all of
worked,
the Eraserhead songs.
sorry to jump in, but I
Oh,
actually worked with him a long time back in one commercial. Um, in one, we did I think we did a spot for Max Candy or something. But anyway, he was beatboxing.
oh
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so when I saw him on the on and I found out that he was the musical director, right? I mean that's what he was.
Yes.
Parang sabi ko, genius talaga,
Yeah,
genius.
he is, and he's an Eraserhead. Like he knows, he's familiar with the songs. I think that's part of why it really came through, like the meaning of the songs. Because everybody in our most of the people in our artistic team were really into it. Like they really knew the songs. Um, even our script writers also are like a lot of them are also from UP. So that I feel like the Eraserheads discography is as like a love letter to UP.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that kind of feeling also was really brought into the show. Yeah. And a lot of the actors also are from UP.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I saw them. I saw their first performance in UP
Yeah.
way back then. So all of these memories just came flooding back when we were
Yeah.
watching it, and it's amazing also, nga, kasi um, the way the songs were. I don't know what the right word is. They weren't rewritten, but they were put together in a way that they just fit the story perfectly, but then they still remain the songs. They
Yeah.
weren't altered, but they just flowed into the story. And to me, I'm not a theater guy, so I'm sure it's done all the time, right? But I think that's what I found really amazing. I mean, how all of those songs actually were able to tell the story and that entire
Yeah.
narrative and thread it. That's a question, Kiara. I mean, don't have to answer it, but so we watched the first time,
Yeah.
diba? And then the second time that we watched, it was a rewrite. Is that the
Right.
right word? I mean, there
Yeah.
was a rewrite.
Yeah.
Um, which version did you like better?
I definitely like the second
Oh,
version
really?
better. Yeah, because
Okay.
it felt like everyone knew that the first version wasn't going to be the last version. Because that's usually how it is with original productions, is that
Hmm.
it's always a work in progress and the work never ends. I feel like even it's for sure going to be rerun. I just don't know when. And then it's probably going to be rewritten again. Because um like it's hard because in the Philippines producing an original production is like we have super limited time. In the States they have like years and years of workshops and things like that. Here we had 2 months to rehearse for an original production. And while we were rehearsing, there were there were things that were being rewritten during the rehearsal, during the run. There were things that were being added and taken out. So like we knew that it wasn't that it needed a rewrite for sure because it like we just didn't we wanted to rewrite it, we just didn't have enough time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
from the second run, it's like okay, we have time to really like perfect this story. And even now, it's not perfect. It's still undergoing work.
Yeah. Pero Miren, Miren, I like the second version. I like the rewrite. I think, the first time I watched it, it was already super rich, right? In
Yeah,
everything. But the second one, sabi ko, okay, I'm gonna watch it for the second time. I still want to be surprised, which I was. I still wanted to be moved, which I was. I still
yeah,
wanted to sing along, which I did. So in that sense, I think and I look forward to watching it again in the future. I mean, seeing how it grows, right? I mean, like any creative piece, naman, I always believe that everything's organic,
yeah.
diba? And it grows and it has a life of its own. And I just really look forward to the theater opening up again, Broadway's opening up
Yes.
na, diba? So
My God.
anyway, it's something that I think we all need, diba, as
Yeah,
humanity, and then it's been such a
yeah,
bad year and a half for the entire world, and I think that's something that we all need. So I'm looking
yeah.
forward to that, and hopefully that happens sooner than
Oh, it
later. So ito again, I didn't want this to be like your ordinary interview. And okay, Kiara, how did you start? I mean, what were your inspirations? I mean, um, the recent event. So I'm sticking with Huling El Bimbo, right? I mean,
okay.
this whole Eraserheads narrative is still ongoing after all these decades. Ellie, I'm sure you know, diba? Ellie just came out with
Yeah,
some controversial statements, and then the band.
yeah,
Uh, so how? Because I'm sure you're so attached to it personally. Ako nga, I've been a
yeah,
fan for decades, and parang sabi ko talaga.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, I knew naman eh. I mean, I knew, diba? I knew enough, but I didn't know that, he would actually come out with that bomb,
yeah,
diba?
yeah,
So you, and how did that affect you? Because you're so close to it, diba?
yeah. I was like, my dad sent me the article, and I didn't even read it. My first reply was, "That's a lie."
In denial,
Yeah,
denial
that's a
talaga
lie.
is the
That's a lie.
first.
No, but it kind of like makes sense, I guess. I mean, I can't even. There's no way I can like confirm or deny. I don't know them as people. I've met Ellie. He's super nice. He's such a nice guy. The I don't know. It's I know it's heartbreaking for fans. It was also heartbreaking for me also. But that's that's just them. I mean, if the only thing they gave us, if if that kind of relationship gave us the music that they did, then like whatever, right?
Yeah, good point. Good point. Ano nga eh, kasi nga, me, I was also like, okay, I kind of knew. But then, for my generation, right, when this whole Eraserheads phenomenon blew up, the story kasi was, and the urban legend was, okay, they were dorm mates, they were all freshmen, they
Yeah,
didn't really know anyone.
yeah,
They're all roommates, became good friends, started
yeah,
playing. And then
yeah,
the
exactly.
first time, I don't know if you've heard this story, but the first time they played, it was like, half of us like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, they're not in tune, or we weren't used to their
Yes,
tune. That's why we thought they were out of tune. But it was
yeah,
also cool na parang, okay, this is something new, diba?
yeah,
But there was always this parang this halo of friendship around those
yeah,
guys. And then when they disbanded, and then this whole the urban legends continued. Now, okay, Marcos just went it became a
yeah,
hermit and became a surfer. And Raymond, kasi I worked with him with for several projects, so I knew bits and pieces. But when this parang came out recently, parang okay. So, but then again, my point of view there is, and as you said, and I agree completely, right? I mean, this whole discography of legends, right? The Eraserheads. Me, kasi I tend to separate the persona from the music. I mean,
yeah,
I love the music, I love their story, but sige, I mean, if you weren't friends, and okay lang. I mean, the music was
yeah,
fabulous,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Um, in the same way na Michael Jackson, di ba? I mean, with their stories that have come out, documentaries, witnesses, etc. But me, okay, I mean, I may not agree with his personal life, but the music,
Yeah.
no one can deny the genius.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's
Um,
like being a rock star also. Like
yeah,
that rock
exactly,
star
di ba?
personality.
Yeah, exactly. So good point. No, I just wanted to get your view on that because I know,
Yeah.
I'm sure it struck home, di ba? Because you were so
Yeah.
close, or you still are so close to that. So okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so let me jump timelines again, and let it. And I'm trying to build this story for the audience. So theater, dance, um, P-pop, Huling El Bimbo, of course. The legend continues. Okay, so this whole princess thing, I
Yes.
mean, with all of these things going on in your life, where does this fit in? I mean, where do you get the time and the energy to do this? And I mean, how has it been as an experience? Because I'm sure the audience is different. Like we're talking
Yeah.
about children's parties here. And I'm sure it's an interesting audience, but different experience. So
Yeah.
how did that happen, man? Where did that come from?
Actually, most of the people in my, because it's clowning around is the group
Hmm.
that I do these parties with. Most of them are from theater. The girl who runs it, her name's Jill Pena. She got me because we were castmates in Annie in Resorts World, and she was like, "Hey, do you wanna do children's parties in the weekends?" And it works because our rehearsals for theater are weekdays, and then on weekends we're free usually unless we have a show. And then she got us. Even it was so funny because when we were rehearsing na for Ang Huling El Bimbo, my castmates in El Bimbo were also my group mates. Were also my co-princesses in in these parties. So like Gab Pangilinan, who played Joy in the
Yeah, yeah,
second
yeah,
one,
yeah.
she would also be with me in the parties. Like I would be
Okay.
Ariel and she would be Belle, like that. So it's really because when you're a theater actor, like there's no way that you can make money just from theater.
Mhm.
So you really have to do so many other stuff to be able to like still performing stuff. So a lot of theater actors have um, corporate shows or they do princess gigs also, or they do voice acting, voiceover, things like that. So it's really like everybody in this industry is just like racket here, racket there.
Yeah, because you just want to perform. I mean, the
Yeah,
root of that is you just really want to. Okay, so how? Because I understand, right? I mean, the traditional children's party, so you show up, perform, etc. So how has that evolved through this pandemic? You were mentioning earlier you're doing like Christmas parties na online,
yeah.
birthday parties online. How does that work now?
So it's done. It's usually done through Zoom,
Okay,
and like sometimes the parents have a group, like they invite a group of people to come and celebrate their kid's birthday, and it's really like we really had to think how are we going to make this work, especially with children. Like it's hard for them
yeah,
to just focus on something on a screen for that long.
correct.
So we really had to make it like short and interactive also. There's sometimes when we would even send like loot bags to the kids so that they can dance with it. For example, maracas. Oh, shake the maracas here, shake the maracas there. So we really had to make it as interactive as possible. And yeah, and we still dress up, and we also use like green screens to make it more more to what's it called, to enhance their imagination. So
Yeah, nice, ah, nice, ah. I
yeah,
mean,
so we also
but
became
I'm
like tech
sure.
people.
Yeah, we all have, right? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
necessary thing. But I can imagine the challenge, kasi, well, quick background. Well, this is my like Chris Aquino movement. I'm gonna tell a story about myself in connection with that. So I was, I know how it is to hold, how hard it is to hold a child's attention, because I taught preschool. I taught
Oh,
kindergarten kids at IS. That was my first job. I and believe it or not, I taught them poetry and theater. So that was like, well, actually it was poetry and performance. I wouldn't call it theater. And it was so hard. Like and it's live na, di ba? They're in front of
Yeah,
you. You can actually call their attention. It was so hard, but how is that? So
yeah.
how do you? I mean, are there techniques? Like, how do you hold the child's attention in Zoom, di ba?
Yeah, it's so hard because usually, like when we're having games and stuff, you can like physically hold them and be like,
Yeah.
calm down or things like that. What usually happens is that we ask the parents to stay with the kid, and
Okay.
because sometimes they'll be like on mute and be like, ganyan. But we ask the parents to please mute your child's device, and like it's really a collaboration also with the parents. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard because they definitely get distracted, but it's also a pleasant surprise that they still enjoy, like they still look like they're having a good time.
Yeah, I mean I can imagine because in this entire time they're just at home watching like
Yeah,
stuff, diba? So I'm
yeah,
sure seeing, people interact with them, even if it's just through Zoom or through I mean online, it's still something that they love
yeah,
doing. So that's really good. I mean, and I'm sure you've helped so many parents um, entertain their children, di ba?
yes,
Parang that's become the major problem. What do my kids do while this is
yeah.
happening? Okay, so who's your favorite princess? Who's your favorite Disney princess?
Probably Mulan.
Really?
Yeah, because as a
Okay.
kid, I super loved her. Well, when I was a kid, because I wasn't known to be very ladylike. My mom would always get mad at me for like climbing the couches and like
Okay.
going upside down. She's like, Kiara, you're a lady. Are you sure you're a lady? Ganyan. And that's why I super identified with her because she was like very like different from other people. So I
Okay.
super love it, the story about her being a warrior and saving her country and her family. I don't know. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Me kasi I've always loved Belle. And
Oh, I love them.
but Ariel is like my all-time favorite. I mean, in fact, during the graduation of one of the graduations in that IS class that I taught, so we had to do a performance with the kids, right? And these are like kids from all nationalities. So okay, so we're gonna do Ariel, and then, so we were singing. I was trying to teach them the song, and then it's funny because when you're a teacher in preschool, when they're performing, you're guiding them. They're in front of the stage, and you're
Yes.
actually singing with
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
that was like that was one of my most awkward experiences, but fun. I mean, and then and Ariel's like really my
I love
all-time
Ariel too. I
yeah
love all of
all-time
them.
favorite. Yep, yep. Okay, so so princess, um so how did Tita Sandra come about after all of these things?
Oh my
Okay, so
gosh.
let's jump to TikTok. Okay, so again, I'm also a TikTok stalker. Yeah, and your tita and everyone else tells me, yeah, all these girls are dancing. Okay, I mean it's nice, it's
Yeah.
entertaining. But how did that come about? Because that I know more than a couple of people who actually follow you and who are so entertained by this character. So I know I pick up on some of the influences, but how did
Yes.
that character evolve? How did you shape
Gosh.
Sandra?
Because the first time that happened was because it was Assumption Day.
Mm,
And one of my kabarkada, si Andrea Lim, she she was talking about how she went to Assumption to hear mass, and she was just making cuento about the funny titas, like the things that titas would say that are funny. And I was like, oh my god, this is hilarious. Like I should put this on TikTok. Like it's so funny. And I always make fun of them. Not like as in spite, but like because these are the women that I grew up with, right? Like my mom is from Assumption. All of my titas are from Assumption. So parang the, I have so much baon from my life that they've actually said to my face. I'm like, oh my god, I should make this a series. So the first time I did it, it like people loved it. They're like, "Oh my god, that's my tita, ganyan ganyan." So I really injected things from my actual life. Like one of them that people don't realize is actually from real life, like a quote verbatim is when I say, "Kuya, you just pindot the bilog." That's real. That's
Yeah,
something that one of
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
titas
yeah, yeah,
actually said.
yeah.
Kuya, just pindot the bilog, okay? Like that. I was like, oh my god, this is so funny. So I think that's cool because I always see McCoy Dubs do it also from TikTok, but his is a
Yeah, yeah,
Poveda
yeah, yeah.
Tita. And I was like, oh my
Correct.
god, I can really do this because these are the moms of all of my friends. These are my relatives. These are something that I've grown up with my whole life, and it can be a type of content that I could really excel at, and it can be funny.
Yeah.
So I didn't
No,
expect people to like it as much as they did, though.
no, it's hilarious. I mean, it's hilarious. But didn't you do a collab with McCoy Dove?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I saw that.
I this brand Pili Annie, it's a wellness brand, a local
Yeah,
wellness
yeah,
brand. They had the both of us parang have a live stream and talk about our the products and also like banter with each other. And it's a cool idea because their market is really the titas of Manila. Like
Mm-hmm,
they're a wellness
mm-hmm.
brand, so it's super like mga essential oils, like things like that. That's very titas of Manila. So it was super smart.
Yeah, I mean, and you actually you hit the head on the nail on the head with that word. It's actually very smart. I think and that's why I enjoy TikTok aside from the from the dancing girls. But there of course there's some things that are diba? But
Yeah, yeah.
there's also like a bunch of really smart well thought out content
Yeah.
from people who aren't necessarily professional comedians or I think and to me that's a good thing. Like a lot of people are scared of TikTok for one reason or the other. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people may think that it's a waste of time. You're just stuck there,
Yeah.
like flipping through the. But me, it's people creating content. It's people expressing creativity in whatever form, whether or not it's bad or it's something that's better or something that's really good, diba, and smart. But to me, any creative exercise is a positive exercise,
Yes.
and as long as we know the limits and we know
Yes.
what's bad and what's out of place na talaga, then and I think it's something that people should still
Yeah.
follow.
People are so
Yeah,
creative on the app. That's why
galing, di ba?
the more I'm on TikTok, the more content I'm able to make because I just get inspired by people.
Yeah, yeah. Pero ano nga me, I try to, because the algorithm's super fast. I think it's one of the fastest algorithms I've experienced on any platform, right? I mean, you just watch, I mean, the way you influence the content just happens in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And to me, that's amazing and kind of scary technology, but I think the breadth of content there is just amazing. I mean, you can get cooking tips, home tips. Of
Yeah.
course, there's a lot
Gardening.
of funny stuff, diba? Okay, so are there any plans to continue? So you will continue this character?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Ang dami
Trying
na
to
rin
introduce her.
lumalabas.
Yeah, I'm trying to introduce her in a new character because Tita Sandra's daughter is named Sophia, and I
Yeah.
want I want to introduce like more Sophia content. Like recently, I did a Conyo dub of Trese as Sophia.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so I want to put out more like that also.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything goes, diba? So speaking about Trese, since you brought it up, I assume you've watched all 6 episodes.
No, not yet. I'm on the third.
Not yet. Oh, you're the. How do you like it so far?
I love it.
Diba?
I'm a fan of anime kasi, so it's really
Yeah.
fun to hear it in your own language. Like
Correct.
yeah.
Pero me, I'm flipping like I watched it, then during the episode, I'd flip between the Tagalog and the English dub. just to see
Same,
how, okay,
same.
how did they say it in Tagalog, diba?
Yeah, same. Also, the Japanese I watched last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nice. Also, the Japanese dub. It's different,
Well, I should watch that later. That's
and
interesting.
it's fun hearing them say the Filipino words in with the Japanese accent.
Okay naman.
Yeah. Well, it sounds funny, but like it doesn't really matter. The voice actors are really good.
Yeah. My only, and of course, everyone's a critic now and everyone's an expert. Me, I'm not criticizing. I mean, I'm 110% super proud that this happened, diba? And the guys, the original authors, budget, and Kaja got this break, and Netflix ba, diba? Pero again, there's always room for improvement if there's a next run, etc. I just felt na, I don't know if you felt the same way, but parang I felt that the English dub, the Pinoy sounded more like Mexicans than
Yeah,
Asian,
yeah.
di ba?
Sometimes I was like, this doesn't sound Filipino.
Di ba?
Yeah, unless they
So,
were actual Filipinos who were speaking, then I understand. But like sometimes they really did sound like Hispanic.
yeah, di ba? It was more Hispanic. Actually, more, to me, it was really Mexican. When I watch Mexican films, di ba? It was really that
Yeah,
accent. So, I don't know. But, whatever, di ba?
yeah,
In the end, it was still wonderful that it's there and for
yeah.
people to enjoy. Okay, so we've I think we've kind of touched on the key points of your, if I can call it, your discography as well. Um, among all of these things, and I, not to put you on the spot, diba? So let's say tomorrow, God or some higher power says, okay, Kiara, you're doing too many things. I will only allow you to do one na lang, 'di ba? Which would you choose?
I think at the moment my mind, my being is really with Daydream right now, like
Okay.
my group.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like it's like there's so much momentum because we just started right. So parang that's really where all of my energy is going right now. Like all of the trainings, the everything. I'm super focused on that. Like if I had to stop doing Kumu and TikTok and all of those things, I would be okay as long as Daydream was still there.
Okay, so here comes the here comes the Miss Universe question. Um no, if okay, let's just say there's a 6, 7, 8-year-old watching this. I mean, maybe they'll see it, diba? um would you, and they say, okay, I think, Ate Kiara was so cool, I want to do the same thing, etc. Would you tell them to stick to one thing, like, okay, if you're in theater, concentrate there, aspire to aspire to be on the West End or bro, or just focus? Or do they go your route, right, and just like hit everything that you want to hit, and just be as expressive and creative as you can? Because before you answer that question, parang it's actually refreshing to see someone like you, right, getting into all of these things, from traditional theater all the way to all the new platforms, and not being so parang picky na I don't want to be on TikTok. It's not
Yeah.
doing with it. So what do you think? I mean, what would advice would you give? It's so Miss Universe, I sorry. But anyway, what advice would you give, like, the young aspiring actress performer?
Actually, I feel like most of the people in theater are doing what I'm doing. Like everyone's doing everything because I feel like especially now in this new digital world, it's kind of impossible to not also be dabbling into other creative platforms. Like as for sure for younger kids also, like that's the way that um the arts is going now, like into the digital age, into the digital platform. So I would definitely advise people to to be creative in every aspect that they want to be creative in, especially online and especially on social media, because there's so much resources to be able to take advantage of. Like I always with to people who want to get into theater, I always advise them to like watch videos on YouTube about whatever in theater that you're interested in, because there's so many resources. You can watch classes online, you can take online master classes. It's such a waste if you don't take advantage of that. And I feel like also being creative in different aspects is also an advantage to you as an artist, because it's so the influences can also make your art and your uh you as an actor and as an artist richer. Like it makes your experience richer, and that's why good actors are good actors, because they also have experience to back it up.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, that if there's, I'm sure people are who are gonna watch this are gonna enjoy all the cuentos, but for the younger, as I said, one of this platform I really wanted to reach the younger people and inspire them, and and then just guide them to where they want to go, and I think it's a really great piece of advice. As you said, the platforms are so available to everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone should just use it, diba? And kind of experiment. Okay, this is something I enjoy. It's something that people are connecting to, and maybe I can jump to this other platform, and the other people will connect to it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, great piece of advice. Okay, so rounding off this conversation, and I hope this isn't the last. I mean, as your career goes on, I hope that you'll have the time for Tita John again.
Yes, of course.
So, last couple of questions. So, have you gotten your McDonald's BTS meal?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay. So, do you think it's overpriced or is it worth the experience?
It's funny because like I don't know how to feel about it, because I wouldn't say that it's overpriced because I paid for it. Like people people
Yeah,
have been spending that much money just for different packaging and sauces.
true,
So
true.
like in concept, it's like absurd that we're spending that much for just packaging and sauces. But then again, I paid for it and I willingly did. So I mean, go McDonald's.
Yeah, as in it's funny because Kish, like, when she got it, she drove through, she had this like parang pre-orders or she was a day ahead.
Yeah.
I go, and she got it, right? And then when she went home, when she got home, parang, okay, I need to preserve the
9 o'clock.
supot. And I said, dear God, I mean, sure, I mean, yeah, knock yourself out. Sige, let's preserve the supot. But also marketing, also marketing. And who's your bias in BTS?
Oh, Jimin.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
because he's a dancer.
Oh yeah, galing, galing. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, Miran, of course, I'm a Lisa. Lisa's like the queen
Oh, Rose
because
is my bias naman.
okay. Kasi Lisa naman, the way she dance. Anyway, we're
Yes.
gonna get into another hour talking about these guys. Okay, so Kiara, I super appreciate the time that you've given. I know you're doing so many things. As I said, you had a gig before this. Thanks for spending this hour or so with
No
me.
problem.
So kasi let's do the showbiz thing. Anything to watch out for with Daydream?
Oh,
Any updates?
yeah. So we just recently launched our YouTube channel called Daydream TV. So you can check that out on YouTube. Um, we also have our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and TikTok. We are Daydream PH. So you can follow that and keep streaming Fallen for You on Spotify and YouTube, our music videos there as well. We're going to release some super fun content for everybody soon, very, very soon.
Nice. Congratulations,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
Really happy for you. So, and
Thank
I
you.
look forward to the next songs and the next MVs and your career as well. So more power.
Yes.
Thanks, Kiara. I'll talk to you again. Super enjoyed our chat.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Tito.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Bye,
See
take care.
you.
See ya. Bye.